Meeting Thursday, December 6, 2012. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Hoggett.
Here.
Alderperson Bansal. Here. Alderperson Yaku.
Here. We all received a copy of the minutes. Do we have any issues with it, or can we have an approval of the minutes, please?
Move to approve the minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on. Consider revised automatic aid agreement with Roberts Warren Fire Department.
All right. Last year when we did our re-rate with the ISO for the rural, this issue kind of came up. The agreement we have now, the ISO won't recognize it as a viable agreement and reduce the insurance rates for the people on the east side of Hudson Township. They needed some wording changes in there. I think some of the wording changes is to take out the notification if you're unable to respond. Take out mutual, and so it reads agreement for automatic aid. There's several changes in there. They're in your packet. Catherine did have when this first kind of circulated, Catherine did have some concerns about, by changing this, we don't have the option not to respond.
Right.
So
I thought the same thing.
yeah.
So did the Joint Fire Board go through this?
Yeah, they made the recommendation to continue on with it.
What's the benefit to us if we do this?
There's not any benefit to the city, but there is for the town of Hudson.
Do they contribute more then? Or, I mean, how is there a...
There's a reduction in insurance rates for those that are within 5 miles of Roberts Warren Fire Station.
So
5
the
road
residents get a
miles.
reduction in insurance rate, and we continue to provide more service, because it's going to be an automatic thing and not a decision-based thing,
Right.
which will cost us more money.
We're already doing this.
Uh-huh.
We already have an agreement. This is the change the wording so that ISO recognizes it, and that those folks do get a benefit from it.
But you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, technically, where if we change the wording, you won't have a choice.
I won't have a choice.
Yeah. This is where I'm concerned.
That's the big issue.
And I know that if we have something going on in Hudson, that takes precedence, but I mean...
And I think with the Mavis, there's always, even if we have something large going on, there's always there's a spot there for a station fill-in. So whoever's filling in the station then would move to that.
But maybe this isn't going to be for 2 more years.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But town of Hudson is part of our fire
District, and their recommendation.
and they're also a member, paying member.
The Joint Fire Board recommendation was to continue and make those changes.
For Roberts Warren, though, right?
Right.
But that's not part of town of Hudson.
No, but
Not part of our
Roberts
coverage area.
That's right. Roberts Warren isn't part of our coverage area.
So they will now become basically part of our coverage area without paying in for services.
Sort of. Just the way the district is set up, or the auto aid agreement is set up, Roberts responds with us to anything to the east of Highway 12. If you can picture Highway 1294, anything east of that line, Roberts Warren responds with us for structure fires.
Structure fires.
Yes.
So what is their size compared to ours?
And then we respond with Roberts Warren anything west of Highway 65.
Mutually, though, not automatically.
Automatically.
Automatically now.
Yeah.
So then if we change this to automatically, what increases?
Nothing changes. Only the wording in here, and that we're required. We don't have an opt-out.
So you could say right now, I don't want to do this anymore, and it's we don't have a budget for it or what have you. And you have the flexibility right now, and by doing this, it kind of gives you no flexibility.
Right now, if we couldn't supply resources, we have that flexibility. That's the
Right.
way, that's what's written in the agreement.
Right, and with Mavis not coming in for 2 years, that's going to hurt.
With this agreement, we don't have a choice. We will send an engine with 4 firefighters.
Even if we have a fire going.
Yeah, exactly. That's what.
Even
this
if
is
Hudson
saying.
has a fire going?
Yes, that's what this is saying.
So this, if Hudson has a fire going, it doesn't take priority, we have to split what do we have, 19 firefighters?
40, but
Oh,
yeah,
40.
usually about
19 that show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Or we do it via whoever's covering our area, and then we just keep moving resources in to do that.
oh, I don't like that at all. I don't like that if we took priority,
That's the way it is now. We have the option.
but this changes that.
This changes that.
I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing the conversation.
How
but I
far
had a
to
lot
the
of
north
questions.
does that go? I mean, this is just, it's only like it's only like 4 mile stretch between the two.
Yeah,
I mean, the
it goes
frequency of fires out there has to be
just-
pretty limited too.
just for Hudson Township, just for the length of Hudson Township,
Well,
north-south.
it's not about that, though. It's about if there's a fire in the city of Hudson, we're going to split our resources. If we have 19 men and women that usually come, you're going to split them and put nine there and 9 here and
No,
what,
4.
4,
We
whatever?
only have to send 4.
Okay, still. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't know if I'm,
Well, it's only for, first of all. Second, I don't know how many fire calls we get in that particular zone.
Yeah, it's only for structure fires.
Structure fires, it's not vehicle or anything else, and they mutually respond because it's kind of a dead zone. So, plus it'll lower people's insurance rates in the town of Hudson.
what's a structure fire defined as?
Any type of building,
Right, house,
yeah.
building, not a mobile.
Yeah, not something that
Right.
moves.
Anything
so car
that's not
fires
mobile.
and that kind of thing,
Right.
it doesn't apply to.
Rich,
So, are they supposed to provide support whether they have resources or not also?
Yes,
So it's
exactly.
binding on both parties?
Yes, exactly.
And how big a department do they have?
right.
Well, they have 2 engines, and I don't know if they got 30 on their roster or so.
So how many, you're obviously from the area, right? So how many people, we have an average of 19 that respond to our fires due to the fact that we're volunteer and people work out of this city and stuff. What do you have for an average that respond to a fire?
I'm with Hudson,
Oh, you are with Hudson?
ambulance.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
But Jim, this is reciprocal, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So if Hudson Fire is doing this, Roberts is doing the same thing, so it's both parties this is ensuring that there's fire coverage in that area.
Did we not have fire coverage in this area before?
It is- You have it now.
We have it now.
Yeah. But this is helping the ISO for the citizens, which it's dropping their rates, or dropping insurance rates for them because of the ISO rating.
So is Roberts helping us drop our insurance rates?
Yep, because they have the reciprocal.
Well, not the city,
I was going to
Not
say,
the
I doubt
city.
that.
but for the townships they are.
Yeah,
It's
but
all
not the
about
city.
distance. It's a 5 mile radius.
No, it's
so-
not
Well,
about
it's a
that.
5 road mile.
No, it is about the distance. 5 mile.
That's not my point. My point is that if there's a fire in Hudson, I feel it should take precedence over a fire somewhere else with our own firefighters that we employ and pay.
Town of Hudson is a member of our joint fire.
But this is
board.
not the town of Hudson. This is Roberts.
No, Roberts is covering town of Hudson.
Roberts is covering the
Thus
town of
lowering their
Hudson under
insurance
this
rates
agreement.
out in there because they're within 5 miles of Roberts.
Right, but it's Roberts Warren we're talking about. We're not talking about town of Hudson. We cover the town of Hudson.
I know
So we
that,
cover
but
Port
Roberts
Troy.
Warren under this agreement covers a portion of the town of Hudson now. And then those folks are able to get reduced insurance rates.
Just to be clear, there's kind of 2 things going on. Mary, I understand your concern about coverage, but for the insurance rating, if you're within 5 miles of a coverage zone, the rates
Right.
are quite a bit different. So in Hudson, we're all happy because we're within a reasonable distance of a fire station. But as you get further out in town of Troy and town of Hudson, their rates are pretty. What are they at, 9 or 10 now? Or I mean,
Yeah,
they're extremely high.
Anything beyond 5 road miles from a fire station, you're at a class 10, which is like unrated.
Okay, so I'm not, for lack of, I'm probably going to sound like a jerk, but I don't mean to sound like a jerk. So we would be doing this to reduce other people's insurance rates, and that's really the sole purpose. It wouldn't be, we would be using our resources possibly beyond what we have to reduce insurance rates. I'm just trying to understand this. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just want to understand.
That's
What I'm hearing.
That's part one. Part two is then they actually benefit from response from 2 legitimate fire departments. 4 from here and is it 4 from the other?
Right.
So that you have a reasonable response at
Which we have now.
We have now.
So that's not an added benefit. The only added benefit is they get reduced insurance rates to this redone.
If we change this, then
Right. Otherwise, everything is status quo. We still are helping each other out. That's my point I'm trying to make. We're not changing how we're helping. What we're doing is utilizing our stretching our resources, I should say, because everybody knows we have budget issues, stretching our resources for the town, those people in Robertson and Warren to have lower insurance rates. That's to me what I'm hearing. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But that's what I'm hearing, because from what I'm understanding is we're already doing the work, the mutual agreement. But now we're going to bind ourselves into something that's going to just, and the only benefit is that they get lower insurance rates. It's not benefiting our department really in any way because we're already doing it now. That's just what I'm understanding. If I'm wrong, correct me. I would happily be corrected.
No, the other thing is that you got to take a look at the fact is that it's binding Roberts Warren as well.
Right.
So if we have a structure fire in the town, say just outside the town of Troy here,
right.
and
Right.
they've got to send
Right,
somebody.
but
Or if we have a structure fire here, just like the warehouse fire in North Hudson,
okay, but let's look at this. Let's look at mutual agreements, just like with the town. So if Roberts Warren says we no longer want to have a mutual agreement with Hudson, what's going to happen to them? It's not like, I mean, mutual agreements are almost necessary in this type of environment where we live because we have so many small towns. It's not like this is not, you know, who's going to fight their fires if they don't have a mutual agreement with us?
River Falls, New Richmond.
That's okay. So then we have more to the fire department budget because we're not going out to Roberts and Warren.
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that this agreement, basically all it does is firm up a little bit more of the coverage between the 2 municipalities. And the other thing is the town of Hudson is within the fire district, which is a member of the fire board. So, you know, it's their fire department as well. It's not just the city's fire department, if I understand it correctly.
That's kind of what I was trying to say, yeah.
Well, the only thing that concerns me here is that the language in here says it's structure fires, fire alarms, car fires, brush fires, refuse fires, and hazardous material incidents. So we're bound to respond to all of those the way this is written. That concerns me somewhat.
That's beyond structure.
Yeah, that's beyond structure.
We can adjust that.
Yeah, the structure fire is one thing, but when you're responding to brush and grass fires and you're bound, even if you have an incident here, to go to a grass fire, I guess I'm a little concerned about that priority.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Did you want to speak, if you want to come to the podium? Because I saw your hand up and... I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to understand,
I'm just saying, according to ISO, the language has to be changed in order for anybody to get any benefit out of it. That's the bottom line.
So if we keep it as mutual aid agreement, it's going to be null and void? Or
Yes, no one will get any benefit from the agreement, other than we make sure we have help coming, and it probably arrives there quicker than we will.
so the ISO is basically saying we need to say automatic, or there's not going to be mutual aid.
That's correct. It's just for a zone, it's just for an area. It's not for the whole town of Hudson. It's not, it's just for that area.
So
East of Highway 12 and west of Highway 65.
Right. Which is roughly 4 miles.
Jim,
4
was
and a
this
half.
agreement signed once already?
It wa, not, it
Yes, it
was
shows it.
signed once already. We're already
Right.
doing it.
So the wording in there that says fires, alarms, and grass fires and the mutual aid was already in the,
Right. We're
the
already,
only thing you're
we're-
changing is the automatic.
Right, we're just pulling out the automatic and,
Right.
But like you said, I mean, and these are your words, they bind you versus giving you the option if you
Right.
have the resources or not. Now your hand's raised.
Jim.
You want to come to the podium, please?
Sure.
You got to do that. Sorry.
When it comes to resources, does that mean if you bring in a mutual aid company, that's technically your resources?
Yeah,
So if you're on a fire, so I can, council member Yoakum or whatever, alderman or whatever
That's
we
all
call
right.
it.
I didn't know your name either. We're good.
If you bring in River Falls or Bayport or whoever to cover the area, and they're your resources if you have a working fire in the city of Hudson, but now they're coming to cover your station, part of that station coverage then is out to that area. So it's not pulling people off of a fire per se, like you've talked about. They do a great job of this. They bring in Lower St. Croix Valley or River Falls to cover their station as soon as they get people out. It would just mean that they are binded, but it doesn't mean that they're pulling people off of fire per se. It's the resources that they have available. Not necessarily Hudson resources, but resources through these mutual aids or agreements that are out there that now they are resources of his because they called them in. So it could be River Falls responding to this call based off of, or it could be one in Troy Township or North Hudson, just depending. And this happens quite a bit, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So you think this change is a benefit to?
Yeah, I do, and to the citizens. So
we very often have, if we're all working, we very often have mutual aid companies standing by, you know, for other calls or whatever. We'll have them stand by our station.
Well, how do you feel about being binded?
I think we can manage it.
I am with Rich on the fact that it's beyond structural, though. I mean, we're talking any sort of fire almost besides a car, correct?
There's also a lot of times where Roberts Warren will cancel us, or we'll cancel Roberts Warren too if they know that we're not needed.
Is EMS contracted with them now?
We're not contracted with them. We're working, as far as I know, we're still working on that one.
I totally appreciate what you're saying, and I get it. I'm just trying to think about the city of Hudson's tax dollars, how they're being spent versus other area municipalities.
yeah. And on the flip,
Yeah,
you have those resources coming if need be. You know, it's kind of a coin toss. Are we going to need it or are we not? In today's age on how we work with limited resources, that it's a win-win because you have these agreements. And especially in an area that's rural, so to speak.
great.
It's not your Rosevilles, your
That's
Maple
my
Groves.
confusion, is that we already have the agreement.
But it's also doing something for the citizens as well. You know, ISO ratings do help bring down insurance costs. They are part of the board. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words. The other thing, this could be a flip side where and there are agreements that bring down the insurance ratings for the city of Hudson residents as well. So this is, I mean, this just helps out overall, and this is quite honestly how business is done in a lot of areas across the country this way. So on the fire side and EMS side in some aspects. So, but ISO is specifically to fire, obviously.
The Roberts Warren Fire Department, under this agreement, wasn't responding to the east-west 600 block of the Hudson Township. Would we be required to do that?
We already do.
But under this agreement, they're required to respond to that area.
Yes,
So
right.
we don't respond to it.
Yeah,
They do.
we do respond to it. Both agencies are sent at the same time.
Okay,
That's the purpose of the automatic aid.
all right. So we go there anyway.
Right.
So if Roberts Warren, if we backed out of this agreement it wouldn't change anything for us anyways, because we have to respond to that.
We have, yes, exactly. Other than their response time is probably quicker, when you get out that far for Roberts Warren than it is for us.
So,
There's several times they've been first in, like for the TA truck stop and that.
so Roberts Warren's is also responding to the 1200 block in Warren Township.
Yes,
But both departments respond to both areas now. Anyway.
right, exactly.
So we both go to these areas.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same, that's what I'm saying, that we're doing it now. The benefit is simply insurance rates for them, not us.
No, not for the town of Hudson.
Yeah, but not for the city.
It doesn't do anything for the city, but it does for the town of Hudson.
Yeah.
Is this costing us anything?
Well, it costs payroll costs, whatever number of calls, maybe 10 a year or so. I'm just taking a stab at it.
But if we didn't have the agreement, we'd have to respond to them anyway.
No, it's by choice.
I'm saying beyond the town of Hudson, into Warren. There's probably less than 10 a year that we respond to.
The agreement we have now gives Jim a choice if he wants to respond. Where this agreement would bind him to respond.
Or provide coverage for them, however it's done.
Yeah.
But typically, that's not how it works anyway, because if there's a shortage here, there, or anywhere, someone's going to respond to that fire. It's not a matter of nobody responding. It's a matter of who can respond, and if we're already have to cover a town of Hudson anyway, so because that's part of our jurisdiction.
Yeah, town of Hudson.
Right.
Not Warren and Roberts. That's the only thing that's frustrating me.
I'm probably a little slow tonight.
I know, I feel like
If
I've
there's
seen something.
10 incidents in the other area that we would have to respond to.
Like in Warren Township.
But we said we respond to them anyway. Because both departments respond anyway.
If they're in the town of Hudson, we're going there. We're going to respond to the ones in the town of Hudson anyway.
Right. Well, but they also pay taxes into our fire department.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I'm getting at. Robertson Warren doesn't pay into our fire department. This is a mutual aid agreement, which we have now, which gives you an option. But if we make it an automatic agreement, we're automatically going to respond to cities that don't pay to support our fire department, where town of Hudson and Troy and everybody else does. So the town of Hudson argument to me is mute, because they obviously they pay into it.
It's not mute because they get an insurance break. They get a lower ISO rating.
Town of Hudson.
Yeah.
But they pay into it.
Yeah, Warren Township also has that expense because they're coming this
They're
way.
going to get the same thing.
If we weren't responding to Warren Township, who does?
Roberts Warren Fire.
Okay. So if it's the same thing with Troy. Let's say we decided to not take the north side of Troy anymore. River Falls they probably have to go to River Falls to come in.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to map out, we're talking. I get what you're saying, John. It's not that I don't understand what you're saying. It's that it's hard for me to feel like we're binded to provide resources to something that doesn't pay in to support the resources that we're buying. And I get that it's mutual, and I get that it comes both ways. The question is, how lopsided is that?
I would venture to guess, given the amount of calls, that the people are spending way less on insurance than the money that's going out to cover the.
I'm not worried about the people and their insurance, to be honest.
Well,
I'm worried about
but that's the
our
only
fire
way
department
we can
budget.
give citizens a break on a fire rating by adding the mutual
But they're not
agreement.
City of Hudson citizens.
Well,
I'm
that's
worried
like
about.
saying I don't care about Wisconsin residents.
No, my duty is to the City of Hudson, and my duty is
And the town
also
of
to the fire department, and who pays into the fire department. Yes, the town of Hudson, not Roberts.
Town of Hudson also benefits from this agreement. That's the whole
Right.
point.
Roberts has more expense to the town of Hudson than we do to the town of Warren. And the fire
How
department
lopsided
has-
is this agreement? How often do they come? Do we need
Oh,
them, or vice versa?
Roberts come to the town of Hudson way more than we go to the town of Warren.
Okay.
It's more populated in that area that Roberts is responding to than the area of Warren that we would auto aid to. Yeah, Roberts Roberts uses auto aid a lot, not only with us, but with United Fire as well, for the east side of Roberts. For them, it's a win because they have some staffing issues during the day hours.
But as far as mutual aid, nobody will suffer from that, because there's still mutual aid.
Right, exactly. There's still mutual aid agreements that are out there or whatever.
So
this is above and
fire
beyond.
safety is not the problem, is my point, is that there's still mutual aid, which means if there's a fire and that they need aid, we're going to go aid them.
Right, exactly. This makes it automatic, that they're dispatched at the same time.
That's my concern. That's my concern.
If we didn't have this, what would be the impact on our fire department?
Well, if we continued with the agreement the way it is, nothing.
What if we didn't have the agreement?
You mean if we consider it as
maybe,
mutual
maybe
aid?
10 calls a year at the most.
We'd have to answer 10 more calls a year.
No, less.
Less? So without the agreement, we'd have to answer 10 less calls.
Yeah.
How much does it cost us if we have 19 men come for a call?
20 times 20 is 400, so.
They show up anyway.
I know they do, but then they're cleaning the firehouse and stuff. They're not just sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, we currently have an agreement with them. This is just changing some of the verbiage.
It's just making it automatic.
No, we already have an automatic aid agreement with Roberts Warren. And we're doing this now, so this wouldn't change that. The only difference is that we would be committed. We don't have an opt-out, no, I can't respond.
So if you're fighting a fire up on Beeneman Farms and Roberts has a fire, or Warren, we have to take some of our men from 4 of our men from Beeneman Farms and send them over to Roberts.
Or the company that's standing by for our station coverage then would be sent, and then we'd pull somebody else in.
That just seems like a mess.
But no matter what,
But
someone's
that's
got to come up to cover anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what, there's going to be coverage coming from
If
somewhere.
we're tied up, we have to still provide coverage to the rest of the city or the district.
Yeah, it's always on.
So we
standby.
always do that via move-ups. Somebody comes sit in our station until we're free to go home or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
No matter what, the city of Hudson's not going to be impacted as far as no one's going to be here to cover, because there's always somebody to cover. If we run out of ambulances, if they run out of fire trucks, we automatically have someone coming up. If they get called out on a call, no matter what, like if they have Lower St. Croix Valley up here covering and there's another fire in Hudson, they'll go to that one.
Okay.
And then no matter what, we either have to bring River Falls up, someone from the east needs to come over. We always have someone coming in, and that's the same for Roberts, it's the same for River Falls. If they can't cover their own area and another call goes out and they have to send mutual aid to that, we send in another unit, because we have to have someone covering the city.
Okay.
And then that gets
Yep.
backed up and so on.
And no matter what, that's what we have to do now anyway, so there's always people coming and going. And that's an everyday occurrence.
So really the only, to me, and that's why I keep going back to the insurance, is that the ISO rating for those people between Highway 12 and Highway 65 will be improved, and they'll get a better rate on their insurance.
Do
So,
we know
I
what
mean-
their better rate is? Like,
I've had some people tell me it's $300 a year.
Yeah, it's not, it's more than 100 for sure, and some places are, like you said, almost unrated, or it's like, well, hope you don't have a fire, because it's not pretty.
Wisconsin, well, it's getting sidetracked. Wisconsin changed their way they do their ISO. It used to be like a 6.9 for the town of Hudson. Now it's a 6.10. Anything beyond 5 road miles of the fire station, automatic 10. Which me and the chief from River Falls don't agree with. But
well, what's your pleasure?
I'm going to move to approve the agreement Make the agreement adjustment as presented by Chief Fry.
Do we have a second?
We have no option but to accept this language where we have to.
That's what I got from the ISO folks.
They're forcing us into this?
They're not forcing us into the automatic aid agreement. It's what we want to do to get the most benefit out of what we're already doing now. We're already doing the automatic mutual aid agreement for that area. They're just requesting that some of the language be changed to meet their criteria, so that those folks do get the benefit.
So it's, again, goes back to the most benefit going over there. That's why we're changing it.
The
Simply for
benefit
that.
it doesn't benefit anybody in the Warren Township because we're too far away. We're beyond the 5 road miles, but it does benefit into the town of Hudson, right? Because Warren's fire station is within 5 road miles of the town of Hudson. It covers a good portion of the eastern edge of town of Warren, or town of Hudson.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
So we're doing it anyways, but we're not going to get the insurance benefit for the town of Hudson people if we don't change the language.
That's correct.
So we change the language for something we're doing, and the town of Hudson people will benefit. And the town of Hudson people are members of our fire.
That's correct.
That's right.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion passes 2-1. Okay, moving on to consider billing for, you got a busy night.
Yeah, I do.
Consider billing for fire responses with the city of Hudson. Here we go.
We're talking only billing for calls within the city of Hudson. It came from the Joint Fire Board as a recommendation. During the budget meeting, the topic came up again about billing for calls. So now it's before you, and I need a little guidance so I can draft some kind of a policy or whatever.
Did you write this up?
I did.
You seemed like you were a little conflicted on the whole concept.
Well, I just know in the past when we used to do the billing for all the fire calls, like for all the townships used to get charged a per run charge in the contracts. It was a real nightmare with the complaints and stuff. So
we're saving them on insurance in one thing, and then we're going to charge them in the next.
No. We're on.
We're just making it up by charging them now.
No, this is just for the city residents. This
Not for town.
not for town or the district.
So-
We're not doing district wide.
This kind of came up in several folds, and a lot of it was due to, we don't think that, or the fire board, and I'm new to the fire board, so a lot of this is new to me too, but charging people that already pay taxes and stuff, that's one thing, but charging people that have an accident or have a fire response call on the interstate is totally different. Those people are not from here, therefore are incurring costs, and it also came to light that Town of Hudson, Town of Troy, and other people were charging for certain things and then getting reimbursed either from the county or from the state based on where we were responding to certain things. Like,
So they were charging on their own?
they still do.
They still
Yeah,
do.
They
absolutely.
weren't, isn't this a joint fire? Isn't this whole conversation we've been having for the last half hour about how we're all supposed to be together with this?
And we do. Okay, wait a minute, back up. Each municipality pays a fee to the city of Hudson
Correct.
for fire service.
Right.
Correct.
All right, how they recover their fee is up to them.
How do we recover our fee?
You don't.
Exactly. This is my
Well-
problem.
Well, and
We're
that's
trying to.
Taxes. We can recover it by
by
taxing the
taxes.
residents.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So some of the municipalities have opted to bill for certain types of calls.
So they're recovering everything and not taxing their
No,
residents?
not-
everything,
not
okay,
everything.
I take it back.
It's
They're
a pretty
recovering
small
a
percentage.
percentage, and instead of taxing our residents, and we're taxing our residents and doing nothing to recover.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we thought that we might want to consider adopting some of these other things, especially for mobile calls where you're coming from wherever. Insurance reimburses for some stuff. The county reimburses also, so does the state. It just seemed it was worth looking at some kind of structure to be more in line with everybody else around us.
Yeah.
So this is for vehicles that are outside,
No, you can't discriminate.
you can't discriminate.
Yeah.
They're just for highway calls, though? Or
No,
they're
they
not
would
for-
be for anything within the city limits.
So isn't one of your concerns that you've expressed that people might not call the fire department because of
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
I remember you saying that. See, I listened.
So what we were hoping to do is come get creative and thinking about what we would consider a fair and reasonable fee for a call that, and then there are sorts of reimbursements, so that's kind of where we're at.
I've just been blown away by the fact that they've been getting reimbursed and we're just taxing away. I'm just can't even wrap my head around that one right now. Well, you're, like I said, you seem a little conflicted on this, so why
I
don't you
know.
get your input in on this so we can kind of have guidance?
For me, it's a lot easier if we don't bill, and my concern is now, as it has been brought up in the past, is the delay response, because they might, somebody thinking, am I gonna get a bill or that, so I'm a little reluctant that way. However, it has worked for several municipalities. I kind of leave it up to the committee if that's what they wish to do.
Do you think that homes have burned in the town of Hudson because someone didn't want to call the police or the fire?
I can't say
I
that
mean,
for sure.
do we have a precedence that people aren't calling because
Well,
of a
I
fine?
don't think they bill for structure fires in the
Yeah.
town
Right.
of Hudson.
None of these people at structure. It's more, you can see City River Falls has vehicle accident response, fire alarm, and a graded
Progressive.
scale.
The carbon monoxide detector, I'm kind of on ball with that, especially if we have, what did you say it was, 90%
Well, smells and bells go.
smells and bells? Yeah.
I mean, we could start out with a limited set, the vehicles and maybe fire alarms, and just kind of get in, but not go full gung ho.
Don't we charge for 3 false alarms at a business now? The police?
We, on our false alarms, we don't, not on fire false alarms.
What do you charge for 3 false alarms? $271.
That's through the,
271.
Not 270, 271?
that's the bond that the judge made out there, because they get a citation through the mail. We give them a ticket.
So
They
would we
don't-
want to, would we want to mimic the same bond is what I'm asking if we do something like this? Because if the judge is, I mean, if you're asking for what we would charge, right? If we did something like this?
Well, looking at the city of New Richmond, it says incidents within the city are tax-based, no bill sent. If the owner of a vehicle is not a resident, they get billed. If 2 or more vehicles, the bill is divided evenly to each vehicle owner.
Like a word problem. Rich?
Well, that contradicts what you say, because they're saying if the owner of the vehicle
Yeah.
is not a resident, they bill them. If the owner's a resident, they don't bill them.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. We have to check with Catherine, because there's been cases in Minnesota where they tried that and it didn't work, but that was Minnesota.
Well, why don't we take this to Catherine before we continue forward with it then and get some clarification? And then bring it
There's
back
no
at the next
big
meeting?
hurry for
Yep.
it,
Can we just put this on the agenda for the next meeting, please, and get some clarification from Catherine? Jim, you can talk to her about it, please?
yeah, I'd be more in favor of taxing or billing people who are not residents and not billing the residents.
Yeah, and I can't remember how many calls it was, but there were a lot of calls that go out because we have the interstate here. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a big portion of our calls.
it is. I agree with you. Then we have that mutual aid. Can we bill if it's a mutual aid thing?
No.
Exactly. There's, here we
Structure,
go,
okay.
there we go. I'm just saying. All right, so will you get some clarification with Catherine, please?
Yeah.
And we'll bring it back to the next safety meeting, please, Melanie? Thank you. Okay. EMS, Fire Department, Police Department updates. Marty, you've been quiet. We'll start with you.
Couple things. We ordered the new squad cars on Tuesday. They should be in sometime around March, first part of April. It's the 90, 120 days. Usually this time of year takes a little bit longer because everybody's turning in their requests for the new squad cars. We started the process for promotion of the 2 sergeant's positions within the department. We're going to be getting the written test next Thursday. The Thursday after that, we'll have an outside interview panel. And then after that, we'll whittle it down to approximately 6 officers, and then we'll have an internal interview panel with the supervisors. And hopefully within the first week or 2 of January, we should have those individuals promoted.
Does it have to go to police and fire? Or?
My recommendation has to go to them for the final approval, but it should be sometime first part of January. Otherwise, that's all I've got.
Kim? Or you want to save it for the siren?
Yeah, I'll wait.
Okay. Jim, you got anything else you got to tell us about?
No,
No? Okay, then we'll move on to informational items, and that would be Kim. Siren, Hudson Meadows.
I called and talked to American Signal, who is the one that set up the bigger sirens that we have for Hudson now. Just to kind of get a price, first of all, he said roughly the price that we're looking at for this is going to be $36,700 for a siren. They did a study on what it would be with with what we have now. For the area that you're probably reaching right now, you're at about 70 decibels is what you're reaching right now. The in-city part is reaching anywhere between 90 to 95 decibels.
So you mean down here reaches
Yeah, down
90?
here, down here, because we have 4 active sirens right now. So we
Okay.
have the one on top of the fire department, we have the one at the high school, we have the one on 8th Street, and then we have the one up at Hanley and O'Neill.
So the south side of Hudson is pretty much lacking in
Yep,
notifications.
yep. So yeah, the only one down there is the
White Camp.
Yep, is that one. So I'm still doing research on it. So as far as where to put it, I'm not quite sure because this one, and I've been talking with the people from American Signal because we're probably going to have to do another one because this one doesn't show with the high school one on it. It's got the 3, but it's not the high school. So I think this was set up, and I talked to him today, this is set up if we were to have 3 of the bigger sirens that we had, this is the one that it would be impacted. So we don't have this one. So with the 2, you're getting the 70 decibels, but my guess is if we went out a little bit further, you'd probably be able to hear it a little bit more, but I don't know for sure in precise placing because I'm working with them on trying to figure out where it would be.
And that's the highest, it goes to 70 decibels.
For you, probably. And obviously the areas right here closer to town are getting a little bit more.
Is there I don't know, maybe I'm off base, is there a way, I mean, is there a consideration that maybe now that the town has expanded, that can we move these sirens into different locations to keep the same amount we have, but maybe place them so they're more strategically?
I think with the ones that we have, we would have to get new poles for most of them anyway because they're so old.
Yeah.
So we would be paying for part of it anyway. The siren that's up on 8th Street is an older one. It's a smaller one. So it doesn't reach as far as the ones that are up at Wood Camp and the one that's up at the high school.
Okay.
So we would need for sure, at least if you're going to move one of them would need a bigger, most likely anyway, because if you move the high school one, we would need a new pole. But if we move the smaller one on 8th Street, then you're going to need a whole new siren.
So either way,
we're going to pay for it somehow.
Paying for it, yeah.
Yep. There was a study that they were trying to see where they would be if we put like 5 or 6 of them, I'm sorry, adding 3 more on was what the one that I looked at, and they were going out towards Hudson Township too, and then also on the south side again, more over towards on the other side of 35.
Yeah, that's the problem right there.
Yep. So, and it showed that one would cover okay. The other thing that I found out is that the municipalities need to be the ones that do this too. So each municipality, if you're gonna put it in Hudson Township or anything like that, they have to be the ones that approve it, and they're the
Right.
ones that have to be the one that pay for it. So I didn't know that, I learned that, so I didn't know if you guys knew,
But the city of Hudson Meadows is in the city of Hudson, so if we
Yep.
find a location like maybe where the water utility has their, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
You know, there's room, there's a
Right-
lot of spots.
Or right there in the
There's a lot of
park,
space back there, yeah.
right there in the park somewhere.
Okay.
And I'll keep, like I said, I kept looking into it. The one guy that I've been trying to get a hold to, we've been playing phone tag with, so I haven't got a chance to actually talk to him
Have
about
you,
it for sure.
have you kind of gone out there on a Wednesday and seen if you can hear it?
No, because I forgot about it until yesterday, and the siren piped up, and
Yeah.
you can hear this one really well.
Yeah.
So
I would like someone else, maybe it's me, but I've gotten complaints, so that when I went up there, I wasn't really hearing it. If you go towards Old Highway 35 there where those homes are.
Yep. And I'll go out there the next time. I'll just make a mental note to make sure I'm out there
Yeah.
and listen.
Are we, excuse me, are we going to get bids on?
The one that I got was from American Signal, which is where we've gone through before, but I can also get a hold of Federal. They're the other ones that have done it with us too, so I can get a hold of them too and see what they quoted, but
Well, we're gonna have to obviously figure out where we would get financing for this, but if I would, the other thing too, and I didn't mention to you in the email is, I want to be assured that there's a need.
Yep.
To me, it seems like there's a need for public safety. That's why I want someone else to go up there and listen and see if I'm,
Yep.
you know, especially with the complaints I received.
I can do that.
Thank you for your work.
No problem.
All right. So we'll keep that on for the next agenda in January, Melanie? Thanks. Any other items for a future agenda? Anyone? Anyone? Go on. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
You pick.
Sorry, Rich.
He moved, he seconded. All right, all's in favor? Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.